I would like to show you the cultural map of the world that we obtained from this study. It's a two-dimensional map of the world, and it looks very much like the real geographic map of the world seen from a traditional European perspective. I don't know where you're watching this video, but if you are from Europe, and if you look at a European map of the world, you will notice that Europe is in the center. If you're American and you use an American map of the world, the United States would be in the middle. And I understand that the Asian maps of the world put Asia in the middle. For some reason, this map that we obtained from this statistical analysis resembles a European map of the world. Europe is, or more precisely, South Europe is in the center, North Europe is up north, and Africa is in the south. And then you see at one extreme, on this side, East Asia, Japan and the Chinese-speaking countries. At this extreme, at the other extreme, Latin America. What does this map stand for? The north-south axis is the individualism, collectivism axis. The most individualist nations are those of Northern Europe. The most collectivist ones are those of Africa. In many African nations, they still have tribes, which means that you have to be loyal to your tribe. It means that you may have to share privileges with them, as opposed to the situation in Northern Europe, where only individuals count. Groups are not so important. This is also the axis of what Hofstede calls low power distance in the north, high power distance in the south. What this means is that your company position or your social position is not as important in Northern Europe as in South Asia and in Africa. As I said previously, it is perfectly acceptable in Northern Europe to argue with your father, with your teacher, with your professor, with your boss in the company where you work, if you do it politely, of course, and constructively. The idea is not to argue just to express disagreement, but for the purpose of a more constructive debate. The situation is quite different in Africa and South Asia. I'm often told by my students from those regions that if you contradict your boss, you will most likely lose your job in this part of the world. Or in school, if you contradict the teacher, in some countries, even if you ask questions in class, you may be told to stop talking and just do what you're told and follow the wisdom of the teacher. And this has many consequences. For example, rulers in the southern part of the world often rule without much accountability, which accounts for high corruption levels, as opposed to the situation in Northern Europe, where corruption is much lower and everybody's held accountable. Nobody is above the law. The laws are the same for everybody. It does not matter how rich and powerful you are. The laws are the same for all individuals. The only thing that matters is what you have done as an individual. That's why this is called individualism. And individual rights are so important in Northern Europe, but in developing countries, individual rights are often trampled by powerful, more powerful individuals. The East-West axis is also interesting. I call it monumentalism flexibility, two terms that may be difficult to understand. We can start from monumentalism. This means that the human self in Latin America and Africa is like a proud monument, always the same, and proud of itself. At this extreme in East Asia, pride is almost considered a sin. You're not allowed to have a high opinion of yourself. You're expected to be changeable and flexible and focus on improvement. Basically, the expected philosophy in Japan and in the Chinese-speaking countries is you are not very good, but there is a remedy for that. You can study hard, and as an outcome of your effort in education, you will achieve good results, you will become a more educated person, and then you will be a better person.